today from Rhodos Island in Greece. So we have a full moon brewing, and the whole theme of this month has really been about resetting our internal safety, and actually what is it that makes us betray ourselves, abandon ourselves, and give our power away to others in order to feel love. The new moon in Cancer really brings so much up, my friends. I'm sure you have felt it too. It's a very emotional time. And here I am, currently sailing, well, moored up at the moment, but I've been sailing on a boat and experiencing that intensity of being in a confined space with people I love dearly, who also trigger me deeply and are at the root of the wounds that I have held as a human being, remembering my soul experience here on this earth as a starseed. So as we prepare for the full moon, light language transmission, world service, personal healing, we're really preparing for just allowing the letting go of old stories of unforgiveness and looking truly and deeply at where we betray ourselves in order to keep others happy. How much of our distress and our own feelings of inadequacy and also lacking in security comes from the conditioning that we received. Well, it's huge, and as a starseed, we must remember that in order for us to fully access our soul blueprint, our soul consciousness, we have to clear our bloodline stories, okay? There's no two ways about it. We come into the bloodlines that we do. We choose our mum and dad because they are going to trigger within us the lessons that we have come here to learn. And that's true whether you are adopted, whether you have been fostered, whether a parent left and you had step-parents, whether you ended up an orphan. So I've really been feeling the theme of struggle, of how this is linked to the single parent story and the orphan story. And by that I mean the running around endlessly, just trying to make our own ends meet, to meet our own needs, to just come out of this firefighting mode that is inevitable if we are not feeling supported. There are lots of layers to this, and if we really want to reset our internal safety circuitry so that we're no longer wired to survive, but we're wired to thrive, then it is incredibly important that we're able to step into neutral when we are triggered and to allow ourselves to process our own emotion and not get caught up in the stories that are our ancestors' stories. We're all here to clear those stories, the ones that are limiting us, the ones that are detrimental. Remember that our ancestors also provide us with a legacy that can be positive. So everything in your own life that works well, that you haven't had to work hard for, that came through your bloodlines too in order to support you. I've personally been experiencing a lot of grief in the joy. So I've had two dear souls depart recently as humans from this physical plane. Both sisters, both women, who were single mothers that worked incredibly hard to survive on this earth. Thriving wasn't happening. They had children to look after, they were not well resourced themselves, and yet they were so caring and loving towards others. Here's the deal. Many of us, especially if we are emotional empaths, which starseeds generally are, we spend our lives trying to help others before we've truly helped ourselves. This concept of selfish and selfless gets really confused. So when we gather on the 12th, we will be coming together to pull those roots up and out, the ones that keep repeating stories of struggle in our lives. And we will be anchoring deeply into what it feels like to trust that no matter what we are safe. Now, we've had beautiful fair weather sailing conditions, but that hasn't meant that dramas haven't come up. You know, within family stories that I have, there's been some unexpected challenges that Wow, there's aeroplanes, there's everything going on. I don't know if you can actually even see the moon is up there. That's it. And you can hear the water all around me. It's like, woo! Energy going, right? So there's been some intense stuff that's happened, and it's very easy to be taken out of the center and put into that sort of survival mode. And the thing is, there is a time when we just have to pull in together and act quickly and just, you know, do everything we can to move out of danger. There's a car crash, for example, or something suddenly needs to change very quickly in order not to cause a big problem. But it's how we self-soothe, it's how we settle ourselves, it's how we come back to center. And what does anchoring really mean? Like, if you've ever dropped an anchor, the conditions in which you'll drop an anchor and how you anchor will depend on what you have to anchor to. So nothing is one size fits all, except call in a miracle when you feel the absence of grace, when things feel truly challenging. That is the time to just ask for the support that you really need. And for those of us who have been stuck in struggle stories, giving to ourselves can almost feel wrong because we see so much suffering around us and suffering seems endless. And yet we're so much more well-resourced to be able to support those around us who are suffering if we are actually tending to ourselves. So as we are preparing to bring more of our soul light through our bodies, we absolutely have to clear the density of our bloodlines. We have to clear the density of past trauma in our own lives, and we also have to learn how to deal with challenges as they arise in this present moment so that they don't leave a legacy within us that needs to be played out. Consider how many of the dramas that go on in your lives are actually your dramas, and how many are just the result of your ancestral stories that somehow you just keep bringing to life again in your own world because that's what you know. I'll give you the example of whether you bunch together like one unfortunate event with another, and start telling that story and energizing that story. It's easy to do. Are you bigger than your problems, or are your problems bigger than you? It's a decision, it's a choice. The world is going through a massive upgrade, so are we. We can either choose to enjoy the experience as much as possible, or to keep in a state of stress and struggle, expecting things to go wrong at any 1 minute, especially when things are going well. This can be so disturbing for people when they're used to constant drama. So as we commit to being our own internal safety, as we commit to always giving to ourselves what we didn't know that when we come together, we create true magic. What will actually be coming for us to experience together is a result of the energy that we bring in. Those of you who do sign up and do let me know what's been going on for you will have the opportunity for me to weave into our co-creation and to receive guidance from our star families in such a way you can be supported into a shift. And that's what we need for all of us to do, is to remember that we are bigger than the stories that have limited us to this point. And we deserve to feel well supported, but it's never going to come from the outside. It's an inside job. And once we give this to ourselves, we have so much more compassion and forgiveness for those who have brought pain into our lives, for those who have created the stories that, or the stories the wrong word, have created the conditions that keep bringing up pain in our lives. And we remember that they're just the product of their own conditioning too. And we can actually be a bridge. The ocean is vast. Our emotions are an ocean. And we deserve to be able to float above that ocean rather than constantly feel like we're being dragged down by the stories of the past. So please do join me for phenomenal co-creation, world service, personal healing, and let's receive the star peace codes, my friends, will allow us to rise above the old story and create a new narrative. Please subscribe, hit the notifications button, join the Star Peace community on Facebook if you haven't already. Star Peace, rewriting the narrative. And I'll see you on the 12th. Lots of love.